Hey folks, it's Pat here. Welcome back. Let's do our fourth battle in this Carrier War series, and that will be the Battle of the Santa Cruz Islands. And this battle is very similar to the last one. So last time we fought Nagumo, but we had a different admiral. So we had Frank Jack Fletcher last time. Now we have Thomas Kincaid, the admiral, not the painter. And Kincaid's been with us for all of these battles. He was there at Coral Sea, he was at Midway, he was at Eastern Solomons, but he was always a subordinate commander. And so after the last battle, Eastern Solomons, which was kind of a draw, both sides kind of, fought and then went away. Ernest King had enough of Frank Jack Fletcher, shipped him off to Alaska. Some people would argue unjustifiably so, but and maybe that's true. But Kincaid would turn out to be an excellent carrier commander. And so he took over for this battle here, where we see old nemesis again, Chuichi Nagumo and Admiral Makawa, who we trashed in the last battle. But actually, he was a very good Japanese admiral. And so we'll fight with Kincaid this time, but we're going to change things up a little bit. I was reading the comments in previous videos, and somebody had asked a while ago, it's like, why don't you play with the land-based planes? And I usually don't, just because I like to nerf myself a little bit, and I'm kind of curious to see what the computer will do. But considering that this is the last time we'll actually get a chance to fight with them, let's go ahead and play with Nimitz and Kenny here. All right, and we'll get some bomb runs in here to show you guys how that thing works. So setup for this battle is very similar to the last one, with a couple twists. The first twist was the American intelligence services, and particularly, the cryptanalysis in Pearl Harbor had a hard time tracking down the Japanese after the Battle of Eastern Solomons. The Japanese finally got wise to it. It was like, well, every time that we send our carriers somewhere, American carriers show up there. What the hell? And so, right between this battle and the last one, the Japanese really started to tighten up their radio discipline a little bit. But the situation is gotten worse for them, all right? Because the Marines and, soon to be the Army, have really built a fortress out of cactus, Henderson Air Force Field here on Guadalcanal. And the Japanese are starting to realize that they're not going to be able to push the Americans off unless they clean off the naval forces that keep kind of popping up around Guadalcanal. And so they scraped everything together. And so the previous battle in our series, they lost the Shokaku and the Zuikaku in that light carrier, the Zuiho. But in reality, they still had the Shokaku and the Zuikaku. Even though their air groups were a little chewed up, they were able to actually piece together enough aircraft to send them back into the fight, so to speak. And they also started pulling assets from other areas that they had as well. And so in this battle, they're going to bring quite a bit of heavy surface elements. They're going to bring the Shokaku, the Zuikaku. They're also going to bring one of their medium carriers, the Junyo, which had been around for a little while, was kind of always operating on the peripherals. So she and her sister ship weren't heavy-duty carriers. They weren't purpose-built carriers. They were converted liners. But the Japanese got to this point in time, they're just going to throw everything in there. And that's because, and Yamamoto in particular, is starting to kind of get wise to this idea that they're not going to have this drag-out fight with the Americans. All right, there's the critical battle, but they're going to give it one more shot here to see if that happens. And they'll try it again after he's dead. So it's an idea in the Japanese Navy that just won't die. But the Americans, despite the fact that the Japanese are getting better about their radio discipline and, we're trying to kind of pry the Marines out of here, the Americans said, well, the Japanese are probably going to come back pretty soon. So they scraped together what carriers they could, sent them down here. And our mission this time with our carriers is just to protect Henderson. So there's no troop invasions or anything like that. The Japanese had kind of given up on the idea of actually doing a landing, and they were using the Tokyo Express to basically pick up troops up here at Rabaul, send them down the slot every single night, drop them off on the tip of Guadalcanal here, drop off food, fuel, ammo, pick up the wounded, and head back. All right, and so they were running that with fairly decent regularity. But they started to realize that they're probably not going to pry the Americans out of Henderson, barring a naval miracle. So that's what they decided to do. They said, we're going to send what we got down here. We're going to try and clean off the Americans, and then we can strangle Henderson. Now, that's not going to work out for them historically, and hopefully not in this series either. So, but we have Kincaid here, who's got 3 groups. We've got the Enterprise, we've got the Hornet sister ship, and then we've got the Washington, a battleship group. So we got a surface group in here as well. And so let's take a look at some of these guys. So in this battleship group, we got the Washington, San Fran, Helena, and the Atlanta. Helena's a little bit beefier of a light cruiser. Atlanta, of course, is our classic anti-aircraft cruiser, and this thing here is just absolutely stocked with anti-aircraft guns. So it's good to have her back. Let's see what we got in the Hornet group. We've got Juno and San Diego sister ships, also anti-aircraft cruisers. And again, so we've got some pretty good anti-aircraft capabilities in these flight groups, or in these task groups. And then the elite group, again, Enterprise has got a little bit of hail damage left over from the previous battle. Historically, she got beat up. I think she took like 3 bombs in the previous one. But they were able to get all the fires out real quick, get her patched up real quick, and then send her back down to fight this battle here. And then with her, we've got the South Dakota, which is new fast battleship. It'd been around for a little while, so mostly spooking around in the Atlantic. Great surface capabilities. Would actually see some surface combat shortly after this battle. But we like her because it's just absolutely stacked with anti-aircraft guns. So this thing is a floating fortress. And so it's good that she's parked next to the Enterprise there, because we'll probably be able to use the backup, shall we say. So again, with this battle, the Japanese are coming down this way with not just their carrier groups, but also some pretty heavy surface elements. So we're going to play it a little bit cool in this battle. We only got 2 carriers. We know they have at least 3. I think they have 3 in a light carrier. Japanese always sent like an escort carrier out there too. So we're going to plan on being outnumbered in terms of carriers. So we're going to play it cool and just kind of spook around down here and wait for them to show themselves. In fact, we can reduce this down to cruising speed and just kind of hang out. Let's see. I want to bunch everybody up. Hornets on escort. Washington, let's change them to escort, because at this time in the war, Americans were kind of getting wise. Because previously the doctrine was, spread everything out so that if something gets attacked, now you don't lose everything. But what they started to figure out was like, when strikes came in, they would always concentrate on the high dollar targets. Usually your carriers are very easy to spot, especially in a fleet of ships. It's the one that looks like a postcard. And so rather than spreading them all out, they started to bunch everything together. They say, well, if they're going to come and they're going to concentrate on a carrier, we need to concentrate all our escorts around the carrier and get as much flak up in the air as possible. And they would do that to great effect in future battles, particularly the Battle of the Philippine Sea. We'll see that when we get there. But for now, with our flag group, the Enterprise here, we're gonna play it cool and hang around here, because even though this is largely a naval fight, air power is going to make the difference here. And speaking of which, let's actually take a look at what we got. So we got George Kenney, who was MacArthur's air chief. And he's got these bases in here, and he's got all these ones down here in Australia, which I know you can't see them all because my face is in the way. But let's see what we got. So Cooktown, Australia, right here. We've got 2 squadrons of Warhawks, some Marauders, some Mitchells, and some B-17s. All right. So, but these guys are down on the coast of Australia. We'll just leave them there for now, because our major base is this one right here, Port Moresby 7 Mile Airdrome. And I think this was called 7 Mile because it was actually like 7 miles north of Port Moresby. Someone can check me on that. I think I read that somewhere. So it was pretty, generic naming, but whatever. And this thing, it's an all-weather runway. It's got a huge spot number, 80 aircraft. And this thing's just stocked with bombers. This is where Kenney put like most of his Air Force. So we got an escort group of Airacobras. We've got some A-20 Havocs, which are really mean ground attack aircraft. We've got RAAF Hudsons, which are converted airliners, so that's not quite as mean. You drop some mail on them, I guess. Maybe a little bomb here and there. But, we got B-26 Marauders. We got 14 of those in that squadron and 15 in another squadron. B-26 Marauder was a great airplane. It's tricky to fly, but packed a mean punch. Not as much as these guys, though, because we got B-25 Mitchells here as well, and those are attack helicopters. Basically, Kenny figured out so many mean ways to use these airplanes, not just against ships, but against troops, but against bases as well. And they're just absolutely vicious. And so it's good to see that we've got, a good 26 of those on hand. And here we go. We got some heavy bombers, some B-17s, all right, from the 19th Bomb Group, which, if I'm not mistaken, this was one of the original squadrons in Manila that MacArthur retained. Even though they lost a lot of planes there, he was able to build them back up. But I'm guessing these are B-17Ds or Es. Regardless, they hold a lot of bombs, and we're going to go ahead and use those. And then, of course, we've got a couple PBY squadrons here as well. And so 7 miles are major bomber base, and we're going to get some use out of that today. 12 Mile, which is probably 5 miles further, is basically a fighter base. We've got P-40 Warhawks from the Royal Australian Air Force. We've also got Beaufighters, all right, or Beaufighters, whatever, which are British-built planes, and Beauforts, which are also British-built planes. These are medium bombers, light medium bombers. But we're going to basically use this base, 14 mile or 12 mile here, as a cap base. So these guys will fly air cover for Port Moresby, and everybody else will be on attack missions. And so we'll put some bombs on some guys. And then this last base that we have here is Gilly Gilly. All right, so which you remember from the last series, way here on the tip of New Guinea, and we've got some P-40 Warhawks that we'll just go ahead and throw on cap here. And it looks like we've got some Catalinas that we'll just use for search plane patrol. And then I think 7 Mile had a bunch of search planes as well. Yeah, we got tons of Catalinas. So we'll have pretty good search plane coverage here. And then we'll be able to use some of those bombers against some of the major Japanese bases up here. So let's just take a look here. So the two that I'm worried about is this guy up here, which is Rabaul. And then this one, which I believe is Gazmata, let's check that, has a few planes in it. So Rabaul 1, this is the big base in Rabaul. This has all their bombers in it. So we want to hit this as quickly as possible. All right, and that'll take a lot of pressure off Henderson. And then this other one, Gazmata, looks like it has mostly anti-aircraft or anti-ship capability with Vals and Kates, but it also has some Nels in there. So we might want to hit that. And this last one, Lei, which I believe is this one here, looks like it had a few zeros. So we won't, and just a couple vowels. We won't worry about that one too much. So I'm not too worried about him. But the trick with air combat in this game is I usually get really aggressive with my Air Force. And the reason for that is if you hit them early and if you hit them as hard as you can, a lot of times you don't have to deal with all those piddly strikes that come out. All right, so you can't really take out an airbase, but you can reduce its spot number, you can beat up the runway, and you can blow up planes that are on the ground. And so the trick to doing that is to usually hit them pretty close to dawn while they're just getting their cap up and things like that. And so if we do a strike here from 7 Mile, I'm pretty sure we can actually hit Rabaul with at least the B-17s. And the Hudsons. We can hit with the Hudsons as well. Okay, we'll do that. But notice here our timing. So time at target, if I were to launch this right now, or order it right now, because they got a fuel gas takeoff, and then head that way, it'd be 0120, so it's 2200 right now, so it's 3.5 hours roughly. So if dawn's at, say, 5 o'clock, we want to launch this at about 1:30 in the morning. Yes, so we'll keep that in the back of our heads. 1:30 in the morning, we'll go ahead and order this strike using 26 B-17s. That'll be great. And then we can do the same thing with Gazmata too. Let's check that one out, see how far that is. Rabaul, Gazmata. 2350, which is about 2 hours. And so we'll want to launch that one about 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So we'll keep that in mind. All right. But that's Kenny's Air Force. And Kenny was a brilliant commander. He figured out so many cool ways to actually just harass the Japanese here and really put medium bombers in particular to good use. And so we'll get some action out of him here. The other guy that we have is Nimitz, who controlled the Navy bases out here. The most important one being, of course, this one here, Henderson. And Henderson we're interested in because it's basically our unsinkable aircraft carrier. So the Marines and the Seabees in particular, shout out to my buddy Andy, were able to start building up this base. So we got a spot number of 36, so it can hold quite a few planes. And then Nimitz would just send everything that he could there. And so we've got a small squadron of P-39 Airacobras. We've got Wildcats, Marine Wildcats, 2 squadrons of those, a Navy squadron here. We got 20 Dauntlesses and 5 Lone Avengers. And so we're going to use this base. Well, for its intended purpose, it is basically an unsinkable aircraft carrier stocked with fighters. And so we're going to put all the fighters on cap here because we know the Japanese are going to attack us here. And so we might as well, spin up the buzzsaw for them when they show up early in the morning, because they almost invariably do. And so we're going to put everything up on cap, all right, in this one. And then we'll use these Dauntlesses and these Avengers here to strike out whenever the Japanese fleet shows up, all right? So that's Henderson, but we also have a couple other bases here. This first one here is blue, so it's dating. This is a seaplane base. And yeah, I haven't shown you guys this. Check out this graphic right here, man. I mean, it's really cool what you can do with 16-bit or 16 colors if you put your mind to it. So it's kind of one of the rare backgrounds you see, but I always like seeing this one. I kind of forgotten about that. So, but all they have there is PBY Catalinas, so they'll run search missions for us all morning. And then down here we have Espiritu Santo, which is a larger runway. And this one, I believe, is just kind of a backup base. Yeah, so we have Airacobras here, 10 more Marine Wildcats, and then some Hudsons from the New Zealand Air Force. So, and then finally, we have another squadron of B-17s down here. Now, they'll probably use these guys as search planes, although we have dedicated Catalinas here. We probably won't be able to use these guys too much because it's way down here. So unless we can lure the Japanese fleet into this gap right here, I can't send these B-17s up to Henderson. Henderson just won't hold them. But we might be able to use them in the future, or we might be able to transfer them all the way over here and maybe get Kenny some use. And now, historically, they wouldn't do that because the Navy would be like, no, those are my planes. So, but we're all on the same team here, buddy. But let's check out Cooktown. Did Cooktown have B-17s? Yeah, it did. So we already have a backup B-17 squadron over there in Cooktown. So if any of these squadrons here in Port Moresby get chewed up, we'll swap them out for a B-17 squadron. In fact, we might want to do that with the Hudsons. We'll do it tomorrow. So we'll let the Hudsons and the Royal Australian Air Force get one lick in on Rabaul. Then maybe we'll swap them out. Because Kenny here, I don't know if you can see this with 7 Mile. It's full on squadrons. Yeah, it's behind my mug, but it's absolutely full on squadrons. So it won't even let us transfer another squadron here just quite yet. So we might do some shuffling around tomorrow, but for right now, we're going to run with this. And the plan, like I said, with the carriers is let's just play it cool for a little bit. All right. Now we're going to go up here into Torpedo Junction, so we'll have to watch out for submarines. Speaking of which, let's check our submarines. We got a pretty decent screen of submarines up here, so if something shows up in the night, we might be able to spot them. Otherwise, we got a bunch of search planes going out tomorrow, including the ones off our carriers. Which is this button. There we go. And yeah, our carriers are sending out search planes in the morning too. Okay, cool. All right, so that's the plan. Let's do some bombing here, shall we? So what are we going to run to? 1:30. So we will run till 1:30, order up a bombing mission, and we're going to get some usage out of our B-17s today. Now, I think I was saying a little bit before, this battle kind of set itself up a little bit differently than the previous one. The last one, the Americans had a pretty good idea when the Japanese were going to show up on Guadalcanal. But this battle, they just kind of had a general idea that, okay, the Japanese are going to try and clean us off Guadalcanal, so we need to be ready. The Japanese have a sighting already. Since our only task groups are down here, that means there's a submarine right here. So hopefully we can sneak past that guy without taking any torpedoes this morning. So especially this early in the morning. But anyway, let's go ahead and bomb some stuff, shall we? So land bases, Rabaul 1, send in the heavies and the mail planes. All right, so here we go. So we got 26 B-17s and 7. So, we got a 30-some plane strike. Let's go ahead and fight that off. Look at that. They'll be out there about a little bit after dawn. That's perfect. So let's go ahead and run that an hour. And then we were going to launch the other strike at 3 o'clock in the morning. So we'll go ahead and hit Kazmata while we're at it here as well. Let's go ahead and run this till 3. And it's important to kind of get the timing a little bit right on this, just because if you can catch them while they're on the ground, and there goes our B-17s and our Hudsons right there. And so we're going to send everything else at Kazmata here. We might be able to actually put a pretty decent dent in their Air Force. And remember, we still have 12 Mile has all the cap up. So basically, if we get all our birds out of here, if they strike us in the morning, there's nothing there to hit. So the only thing that they're going to hit is cap, which is kind of the idea. All right, so 3 o'clock in the morning, let's go ahead and run this, get these strikes off. And of course, this one's going up there. I'll have to see. I'm not sure if Kazmata has radar or not. I don't know if it tells me that. Let's go check it out. Bases. Kazmata, do they have a radar? They have an air radar, so they might see this strike coming over, and then they might get some emergency cap up in Rabaul. So we might lose some planes there. So, but again, if you time these pretty well, sometimes you get them in the morning. See, they can see that strike now, but they might see it here as well. But hopefully not too much cap. And of course, 26 B-17s. B-17s are going to bomb from a very high altitude anyway. So here we go. Hudson's coming in. B-17s. Now a single one's got a dent in it. There goes one right there. So they did get some cap up. That guy's got some bullet holes in them. Yeah, they're shooting some holes in our B-17s here. B-17's pretty freaking tough airplane though. So it can take the punishment. Look at that. 5:30 in the morning. Our next strike is already on Kazmata's door step. I hope I'm pronouncing that right too. I don't think I've ever heard that place pronounced correctly or properly, shall we say. And there we go. We lost a Marauder right there. These are tough planes though. Very tough planes. Oh, now we're not losing anything. I wonder if he sent a strike out. Maybe. Either that or we just wrecked some of them. These are A-20 Havocs. These planes are vicious, especially on ground attack. So they're a lot lighter than the other two planes, but they really pack a punch. B-25's taking a couple bullets here. A couple more bullets here. But haven't seen any strikes from the other side. Mitchell's attacking, taking a hit. So it didn't look like we lost too many there. Maybe a couple. It looks like we slipped past that submarine. Let's go ahead and check our... So we still got orders to move up here. So we're just going to let the Enterprise do that and drag everybody with them. Let's get our birds back here and see what happened. Hopefully we get some sightings here soon. So otherwise, this is going to be a pretty straightforward day. Yep, not all of them are back yet. I'm curious to see our losses. So, and we haven't seen a strike down here in Henderson yet. That's good news. Maybe we caught them a little bit flat-footed. You never know. So I'll run this another hour. And nothing. Look at that. We got a clean slate right here. So there's nothing. No sightings. Just not. Oh, they spotted us. I'm telling you, they got a submarine in here somewhere. Let's check our search planes. Let's make sure we got some planes running around out here. Looks like a couple of these guys got off a little bit late. So I'm guessing the Japanese are up in here or up over here somewhere. Maybe that guy will find something, but he might be already on his way out. Because usually when they're grayed out like that, that's when they're on their return trip back. Where is he? Where is he? Oh my God, there's a lot of them. There we go. Dauntless from Henderson, inward leg. And so he went out and already coming back. You know, we might have a tough time spotting these guys, and that's why it's important to play it cool down here. So we'll just continue to do that, all right, for now. But let's check out Kenny's Air Force here with 7 Mile and see how our squadrons did. So didn't lose a Havoc. Well, no, we lost 2 Havocs. Lost 3 Hudsons, so we'll be transferring those guys out. That's half that squadron. We lost 2 of these guys, but 4 of them are damaged. 4 of them damaged pretty bad. They might be able to get 1 or 2 of those back into service. These guys lost 1. They got 2 that are a little bit damaged. We'll probably get those back because they're only damage level 1. Oh, we lost 3 Mitchells out of this. Just flat out 3 lost 3. And then, of course, we've got 3 that are damage level 2. May or may not get those back. Oh, this squadron got beat up pretty good, too. Well, they only lost 1. They might be able to fix a couple of these. And B-17s, here we go. Ooh. Lost 2. We'll probably get 2 back. So that's 19. We might get 1 or 2 of these back too. So that's not bad. That's not bad. That's not great, but that's not bad. All right. And remember, we still have those B-17s down there in Cooktown. And so, you know, that's just a real brief, you know, introduction to how the land-based airplanes work in this one. In the next couple of runs here, in the next day or two, we'll keep hitting Rabaul every single day. In fact, we'll have to think about it. We might transfer out that Hudson squadron and get that other squadron of B-17s up here so that we can hit them extra hard tomorrow, because those really put a damper on it. We haven't seen any strikes from any of the Japanese bases just quite yet. So we might have been able to get a punch in here pretty early that put them on their heels. But meanwhile, we gotta watch out for that Japanese fleet. It's up in here somewhere. It's got at least 3 carriers in it. It's got a lot of surface ships. We got to keep an eye out for that just in case, because they might try and swing down here and attack our carriers. They might go right for Henderson. So if we stick around in this area here without collecting too much attention for submarines, we might be in real good shape tomorrow. So, or I guess later today. It's only 9:30 in the morning. This battle is very early, but we got 4 days left, so we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. So please let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know, you know, if you got any ideas. Should we be more aggressive? Should we, you know, be really careful? Maybe we pull our guys back here. I'm open to ideas, so let me know. All right. So, but anyway, it's good to be back, and let's make sure that we do right by these folks who are having a tough time here on Guadalcanal. All right, so let's shoot for a historical outcome here, shall we? So, well, no, because actually they lost the Hornet. Let's shoot for better than that, shall we? Anyway, good to be back. We'll see you at the next video. Take care now. Bye.